what you watch, look what you watch, know what you watch. Choose the right thing to watch. And this enough to watch. Sticky, sweet TV with Keep Gag on Facebook and YouTube. And that enough to watch. The movie star fly take off from Palpatine TV, so that. Boom!
A big sound, a big tune.
Ja holy Emmanuel, boy. Ja Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. Well, Gideon go busting out them head again. So much oppression poor people face right now. Them crying out for freedom. Them crying out for free speech. Then said them want to stand up like them black liberators, like Malcolm X and Martin Luther. And the ancient monarchy will come pave the way, sir. Free up black people from me tear down them fence, yeah. Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. Well, the Gideon go busting out them head. I listen, I see, I the power of the Trinity. Give us the teaching of His Majesty, and we know war. Not every.
Blow, Mr. Gargan, blow. Blow till me dance up me toe.
This is Sticky Stucky Sweet TV with Keith Gargan. Good, healthy food with the X Factor. So give it a like, share, subscribe, and touch up that notification bell. And that is it. Look at that.
A corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, the entire river will be also. I do not support corruption. Corruption takes money away from children's education. It deprives hospitals of basic necessities. It means that roads are not fixed. Corruption deepens inequality. It siphons off taxpayers' money to make a few cronies richer with the political connections instead of benefiting the people. This government has been doing everything it can to weaken and undermine the Integrity Commission, which is an institution that I designed as Minister of Justice and brought the legislation to Parliament to fight corruption in this country. I have said it before and I will tell you again. Jamaica cannot move forward without a government built on integrity that embraces principles of good governance in this country.
Whoa. Somebody ball out one. Somebody say take them out. Lift them and say mighty God. Reverse them. Move them. Pull them out. Spray them out. Every cockroach, every rat, every criminal, reverse them. Every chichi boy, pull them out of Parliament. Every criminal, every scammer, every political scammer whose account can't count. All of them whose account can't count. Back them out. Spray them, they push them, some push up in our Parliament, then them out, I drink out the milk, pull them out, mighty God, reverse them, indict them, mighty God, Holy Ghost, send a Holy Ghost, I free them, deport them out of God's house. Some people in there want get deported back of their yard, send them back. Jezebel, Delilah, send them back of their yard. Ahab, send them back anywhere they come from. Kingston, St. Andrew, Portland, St. Mary.
Up and running, up and gunning. Sticky Stocky Sweet TV, keep gargan. Cassava, passava, mind over matter, up and running. Blessed, blessed, blessed Friday evening. In the place, in the house. Yeah, man. Before I my headphone, cause yeah. Blessed Friday evening to each and every one. Yeah, man. Going to midnight at some places now. Over there, so now. The, okay, I go look a while from midnight still. Shall me there. But again, blessed Friday evening because them say today are the money day, today are the pay day. But a lot of people now get no pay today, same speed. They have to really hustle and bustle. Yeah, man. So anyway, there's some, me I take a rustle check from another day. I have to see it from a longer time, but never really register it. I get to realize, say, boy, the woman MPs them from the PMP party, and them really have the rascal sharp teeth, them. Them strong. Them come out stronger that me find out. It was happening from a long time from them at the rascal 14 seat, Right? Because the man, them not sit down like say, well, them a choir boy and have some little distances. And I true, when them come out, they look like them can't do better. Because me see how Julian Robinson, a man of me rate, Because he's a very, very bright brother. But at the end of the day, I'm have to just talk it as how me see it. Him too soft. Even Juliet Willis run over him and everybody come and say something. Him say, all right. Him no question it and go hard upon it. If I the JLP them, that them I go do. And that's why them get momentum. And that's, no matter how them blood clot corrupted, people want to see tough ball government, talk up, Although them do wrong, them is still wrong, and at that them have over the blood clot PMP party. Because them go on like them a choir boy too much. So JLP operate. All when them talk, them a throw word and make nice and all these things. That's how politics goes. And people have to know that. But anyway, as I'm saying, the woman them really a fire on all cylinder. Because I say Nikisha Burchell come out the other day and really fire some rascal, heavy bullet down on them side and them can't take it. We see Angela Brownberg do the same thing. Miss Macleay come and do the same thing as well. So, them a fire. I'm alive to see that. At least. And special because remember, you have the woman them on that side, JLP, Although them a liar, them really aggressive. Look on even the speaker of the house when I show no respect. So, the woman them take it to them. And special Burchell and afraid for her, like puss. Because she look like a woman and she dress good. And she didn't blood clot dance. So, at the end of the day, them Juliet friend for her. That's why they call her blood clot. Put her there, that's why they want to put her in her place of the day. Yeah, man. And she can't take it. But she have a lot more to come to fucking digest. As far as me see. Yeah, man. Them have a lot to blood clot digest. Believe you me. Because one thing we can understand why the man them go like a choir boy like that. Put away the choir boy business, man. This is politics. Tell us music and politics are the same thing, The man are the same umbrella. Them corrupted the same way. Same thing exactly go on with our music industry. And the same thing go on in a politics entity or whatever. Yeah, man. And I don't know Jamaica alone either. Worldwide thing. That's how politics stay. No matter yesterday we start about them, this and them have dignity. They are ruled by the law. They are ruled by freedom law most of the time. So that's Jamaica, but we have to talk on Jamaica because Jamaica our birthland, so we have to talk on that. Talk on other geopolitics, yes. When it's time to talk about that. But what we say I go on right now, You know, I mean, also that blood clot government are wicked and pressure poor people because that reached me as well, too, you know. All right, before Andrew is coming up power, because Bruce Golan was trying to do with that, and Bruce Golan do not like that. You couldn't get, you know, see, so right up to 2015, PMP was in power. And all of them time to come along, imagine something like this now. You know, you want some, you're a foreign in Europe. And you know, say, well, then, you know, bush is good. Herbal medicine or whatever you want to call it. Soursop leaf. The mango leaf, the guinea hen, all of these, you want some cerasy and things like that. You know, because that we grow up on and we know that. And people in Europe, them things that them go for now, the herbal type of rascal treatment. And that's why soursop leaf now gone international, you know. Because them grind it down and sell it expensive. Because it have benefit. So a lot of them things that you see, them go international. And you know, say one time, I couldn't just say to somebody at Jamaica, boy, I want some bush, and I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. And them just get it, quail it out little, parcel it up, and send it to me. No fucking radar. I have to go through radar if you say that. If you sell like a bush for your family or your friend or something. And I sell it, I go sell it, you know. I just some you personally use. Right? Personally use. And them things them used to do them things there. I used to, so I never out of bush, you know. I never out of soursop leaf. I always have these things. Right? Because I just get it sent to me. And it's no worries. And all along, radar was in because PMP bring in radar. And them nasty piece of shit abuse it now and I put it in somewhere. Or you want to do this, get some bush from your own country by a family member, a friend or whatever. And you have to go through radar to send like a bush. That means they don't care for the people. Why them do them things? Why they put on red? Well, I mean, I understand, you know. I don't blood clot understand, brother. Why not that for people not consider people and know say, well, then this is something supposed to free up. And about put no red blood clot tag on this blood clot thing. No. Why them have to do this? So it makes people suffer in all way. They go through rather a lot of rascal tribulation that, you know, send a little parcel or some bush, you know, to your family, you know. Why not that the government have put on red card pan? And that me want to really know. Because that make me struggle now to blood clot. You can't get, yeah, let me tell you something, you know. And you know, the economically idiot people who can't see them things, you know, because some of them never blood clot, move from shot them dead. And them just come like some old utupek them. And just blood clot make people walk on them, shit on them, and put chip on them shoulder. And say, well then, up here, what we say. But then now go move further and over there. We're not going in the zinc surrounding the same way. When rain fall in the yard, mud up. Meanwhile, when fucking rain fall up in them place, them yard clean like a whistle, same speed, no mud. Everything in a spick and span. But no, we don't look on that. We don't look on the blood clot. But then we don't look on anyway, because anything we say we don't look on, we're supposed to have some common sense and look on the broader picture. Because that everybody's supposed to can do. But they can't read or write or nothing, but you're supposed to know so that you have to do. Because I understand. But anyway, we go to the rascal. Because you see, in the end of the day, we can't, sometimes we just have to wonder and ponder. Yeah, man, I have to wonder and ponder sometimes how Jamaica reached this stage right now. Yeah. How Jamaica reached this stage right now, I don't know. You have to wonder and fucking ponder, brother. Because when me see all them blood clot thing, the little bomber clot bush, Jamaica, land of food and water, it have the best rascal herbal remedy. You can't say homemade remedy because them things that things will work. I mean, know so them things will work. I mean, see it work and them things they come out of my head. Remember, me have measles, you know. And measles, that thing where you catch chicken pox, measles. And, you know, it's not a nice thing. When you're you, then time that thing that used to come on. Me have it, my next cousin have it. And it's like, say, blood clot, especially in a certain age group, as youth. And it's so horrible, you know. And them time they, you know, we go for our granny. We know there's no hospital there good while away. No, like now, the way, although, in fact, the hospital them you see even better, although them far, them better more than now. Them kind of well equipped anyway. So them time was better. Although the hospital might be there far. But when you go there, you're gonna get the best treatment and the best medicine. Free of fucking cost. Without not a penny. So anyway, so we have measles. And the wisdom of my granny, old parents, they don't want us to go get some tamarind raw salad leaf. Right? Tamarind leaf. And boil that tamarind leaf. We drink that. And use some and wash your face. The measles start to blood clot dry up. Chicken pox or whatever. I think of measles. Because you have two of them in it. Chicken pox and you have measles. But them things, them similar. But anyway, you feel the start, the bomb them start to just dry up and disappear. Dry up and disappear. And, you know, drink it every day, you know. You might drink it. When you drink it one time, you know, and 2 times. Say 2 times you drink it, 2 morning. That gone, you know. That gone. Your skin come back clean and smooth and fuck. So them things I talk about, so how important them things is. So if people can look at themselves and know, so well then, if government go sabotage things like this, who them a rascal serve? Who them a serve? I don't want to know. Because now me want some rascal, like some bush, some Medina and things like that. No, me can't get it. I know say me have a lot of fucking things. Young time you can't do this, you have to go to God Jamaica and just bring it up. I see nobody now stop you from Rasla, bring it in the country. Once it's dry out. But them, boy, this blood clot government, you know, me I tell them people now look on it, you know, but you say, let me make a thing, you say, let me make a thing, and then make a simple thing and make it Rasla get bad, you know. Them make a simple thing, yeah. Them people don't like Jamaica. Them put why them do them blood and it was and during RADA where PMP set up. And a Labour right set it up in a PMP set up RADA. And all through them time there you couldn't send anybody couldn't send any bush to you anywhere there in a foreign or in a Europe. Right? And now you can't do it again. You have to sign up with RADA. And then we send like a bush to you, what them gonna do? So the money, so there's nothing for the poor people again. Nothing at all. Anyway, we go to first we go to Nikisha. And yo, she burn them skin. Yeah man, she burn them rascal skin at Parliament. They're supposed to have burn up. But I'm the son.
Amongst the most yeah. All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to speak on this. It would be a dereliction of duty and a breach of the promise that I made to the people of South St. James if I did not speak on a bill of this magnitude. one which the Prime Minister himself described as amongst the most consequential pieces of legislation to come before the country in recent times. So for me, this is not abstract. If I remain silent, I would dishonor the 9 lives lost in South St. James during Hurricane Melissa. The homes destroyed, the businesses disrupted, the livelihoods affected, and the children who are still traumatized, still without normalcy, still waiting for life to stabilize. So today, I do not come with theory. We have heard the data from the government ministers. We have heard the estimates. We have heard the scale of the damage as they see it from drones or from their living rooms. But today, I speak from what those numbers do not show. I speak from lived experience, from communities that are still recovering, still rebuilding, still waiting, and still nowhere near that resurgence and resilience that the government is advancing in their newest slogan. In South St. James, that reality is not abstract. It is in Springmount, where the main access road remains a daily challenge for residents trying to get into Montego Bay. It is along the Hampton to Gutters corridor, where people must navigate sections of a narrow 1-lane road with a precipice bordering it, unsafe and unforgiving. If you slip, you slide. It is in Garland's Maroon Town, Bickersteth, where families are still trying to stabilize their living conditions. People still live under tarpaulin. And I'm not saying they're living under a structure covered by tarpaulin.
Just
tarpaulin, no more.
Hangover, no more.
It is in Niagara,
No more.
Cambridge, and Stonehenge,
Tarpaulin,
where
no
residents are still struggling with housing repairs,
That is
basic
fucking bad.
infrastructure,
Yeah.
and in many cases are still
Very bad
not
and
captured
dangerous.
by the government's assistance database. No roof for them under roof. And it is in communities like Roehampton, Johnson Common, Johnson, where the question is not policy, but when help will finally reach. But let me say clearly, I support the need for faster reconstruction. I support coordination. I support removing unnecessary delays. And I say that as a member of parliament who, within weeks of Hurricane Melissa, was approached by an international donor agency, prepared to assist South St. James in a meaningful way. They wanted to build 25 homes at their own expense. They proposed water sourcing solutions and electricity build-out support for affected communities. I took that proposal through the system, engaging permanent secretaries, ministers, heads of ODPEM. I even enlisted the help of the leader of the opposition to try to get it to move. Months later, that approval has not been granted. 25 residents who could be in homes are held back because of one signature. But supporting, you have a voice. You have a voice. Okay, I've never heard your voice. But supporting speed. But supporting speed does not mean accepting the diagnosis without question. Because we are being told that procurement is the problem. That procurement is what is holding back recovery. From where I stand, that is a challenge, but not the biggest challenge we are experiencing in the gap between disaster and relief. When the government wanted Starlink devices, they came into the country quickly, no procurement issue there. There was urgency, there was movement, there was delivery. I got one in a hurricane-ravaged constituency. I gave it to a community. And today, those same devices are the subject of review by the Auditor General, with questions being raised about documentation and proper accounting. So procurement did not slow that down. What was missing was accountability. Procurement again. Shelters were activated. People were moved into those shelters, but in too many cases, people were left without adequate food for days after the storm. No cut. That was not a procurement issue. Food could have been sourced. Food could have been delivered. That was a failure of coordination and management. We saw cases where individuals listed as shelter managers were no longer present, some dead, some migrate. That's not procurement. That's a systems failure. We saw food packages being distributed through the JDF. And while that distribution moved quickly, it often reached the same individuals repeatedly, while others who were in genuine need remained at the back of the line and are still waiting. That is not procurement. That is a failure of targeting, coordination, and oversight. The system has shown that it can move. The question is how it moves, who it reaches, and whether it is accountable when it does. This is not a procurement problem. This is a systems problem. It is a problem of coordination, a problem of follow-through. It is a problem of weak management. And it is a problem of accountability and transparency not being consistently enforced. And if the diagnosis is wrong, then the solution is gonna be wronger. What this bill really does, it is against that reality that this bill must be examined. Because when I reviewed it carefully, one thing became clear. Narrow, you know. This is not a narrowly tailored recovery framework. It's not narrow at all. Under Section 25, it extends beyond disaster response into designated strategic investment projects across multiple sectors. That's right. So this is not just about rebuilding. This is about restructuring how development decisions are made in this country without guardrails. And when we look at how that structure is designed, three concerns arise. First, under Section 22, 3, and 4, the authority can issue directives and the minister can override decisions of approving entities.
What can go so?
What can go?
What the blood can go
That is not coordination. That is the replacement of independent decision making.
This criminality.
Secondly, under Section 3 and the schedule, there is no independent governing board. Under Section 5, the CEO is appointed by the Prime Minister. Under Section 13, the minister can give binding directions.
No.
Power is concentrated, but oversight is weakened.
Can't work. Cannot work at all.
Under Section 17 and Section 4, projects are selected and prioritized, but there is no firm guarantee
that it will.
That the hardest hit communities, Moko, Janzal, Flamstead, Tangle River, will come first. We don't know who then go choose.
They must sabotage
These concerns are not
PNP
isolated.
voters them. That's all I'm
The
do.
opposition has raised them.
You know, what kind of government this?
Civil society has raised them. The media has raised them. Even voices within the government.
You think a government couldn't blood clot do that in England? They win an election because, you know, people go vote with the other party. You know, and I think them can go around and pick and refuse and help and things like that. And if they will give benefit, them go Rascal, look out for some name. Them couldn't even thinking of dream to go down them Rascal road there. Everybody have to get equal Rascal service. Equal whether you vote for them or you vote for the other side. That's how democratic work. But Jamaica saw Andrew Wallace mash it up. That piece of bomb wall shit you see there, sir. Yeah, I don't know if you class him, because I truly know I'm really angry. But when I look on a boy face, you know, sometimes they can see, yeah, yo, because what Andrew Wallace want to do, you know, I'm tired of so much time, you know. He set up a fucking wellness dynasty dynasty in a Jamaica, but we never have that before. And that he want to bring back them old colonial blood, colonial fucking type of mindset there. Some are try to do that with him son them. Some are groom him son them. You soon see them come in politics. Because they like in a set up way, they are going to just rule forever. And if PMP, you know, bomber clad stand up strong, that will happen. You know, when something slipped through a net, and when I realize the two blood clot late, because them gaze as much already, you know. That's why I say me like how them women come out and attack. Cause them attack with like them have the teeth. The man them kind of really them make up them nice in the blood clot election campaign. But when it come in a parliament now, when they're supposed to make up more nice and more arrogant, when they not do it. When they not do it. When they sit there like a choir boy. Because me I tell you say we not see this way to head to. It's a dynasty, the wellness dynasty. And then when they get fucked, when they now get rid of them. When they now go get rid of them so easy. Because they must secure themselves. They must build a black around them, you know. Both locally and internationally. So you see the relationship with Israel, India. Come on now, people. Open up the eye, you know. We don't care so dunce, man. Open up the eye. We don't care so fucking dunce and I choose a party over the country. So what I'm doing a baby and a little one who grow up. We don't nasty this bomb like when you see, man. And that's some you see it, you know. We don't care see what go on. They must try to set up a wellness race lad, dynasty for rule, for the next blood lad. When enough of them are dead and gone. Because when them gone to and get old, and them son, and for them son, for them if them having a picnic, I don't know. Because them say them a body man, I don't know, you know. So I know me say so. I don't know about that. And that's not my business as well. But whatever, I that go on. And that gonna go on. The wellness, rascal, dynasty, family tradition, family business going on. And the fool bomber world, same labor right them, I got jump up and bow down to Andrew the son them too. It happened in the Philippines already, you know. 1982, you know, with the Marcos them, you know. And at the same thing, a blood clot come. Boy, I tell you, Jamaica people, we don't know if HPS gone, you know, because we was so resilient and really step up to the plate. You know, the days, earlier days, where the blood clot now, not too much computerized and social network. When we got on the blood clot, what the raw clot them people here, man? Yo, what me can say? Just fight on, ladies, fight on. Because the voice I heard clearly. Yeah, man.
Benches have raised them, and I'm not talking about my neighbor in West Central St. James. I'm talking about those on the government benches who pull us aside and say, don't stop fighting, because we can't say nothing for ourselves. Collective voice is not saying stop. It is saying send the bill to a joint select committee, a time-bound committee. So the opposition is not saying delay it, time-bound. We can get things done. One that works quickly, but ensures the bill is properly tested and strengthened.
Of course, that's it.
And we're here. The opposition is ready to do the work. Ready to sit the long hours. We're doing it tonight. Ready to move with urgency, but also insisting that we must move responsibly. This authority will manage billions of dollars. Trillions even. Trillions of dollars is not abstract.
Trillions.
They represent real resources that the Jamaican people will ultimately have to pay back. They shape national priorities. They determine what gets done and what must wait. So the issue is not just speed, it is how decisions are made, it is how resources are directed, and it is whether the system ensures fairness.
That's dictatorship, you know.
Finally, Because if we are not careful,
That's dictatorship.
and narra not being narrow, it will make relief further from the people who need it most.
Yeah,
the responsibility before us is not
big
just
friend,
to
you
act.
know.
Although we can act, but to act wisely, to ensure that the system we create.
Watching the truth bite him, watching nastiness. Eh? Watching nastiness. Eh? Look at him, want to come blood class set up Wallace dynasty and control Jamaica for as long as them can. And them fucking crown around them as well. It's a bill when them set up, you know. It's nothing to do with the poor, you know. The rich people, them go benefit, you know. And one must set it up, which was both labor, he must fix it up good, try to fix it up good. Right? And then the people who vote PNP now, like Westmoreland and all these places, they're going to slumber same way. So what am I trying to do? He might try to rascal at all the people them and rascal at you know when somebody hold you with a gun to your head, so you can't do nothing more besides come back over to them. And that them out there, you know. That's blood clot. This is the type of dirty politics where this boy are playing, you know. Yeah, man. This is the type of dirty politics where Andrew Wallace are playing. Yeah. This is the politics where this dirty, nasty shit are playing. So them fix up everywhere where Labour right vote and make them feel good. So them are going to say, oh yeah, because they must have used that on them, you know. They must say, oh yeah, boom, boom. Government at work. We are get benefit. We not give it, and then we must try to do at the same time, divide the country more. Because I'm divided already so bad, so I'm going to divide it more now. So no matter what him say, the fuck them are going with. Them the people get the help and them place all right. Them are go blood clot, because them on a spell, you know. This brother put them on a spell. And him work on them little by little. So that him do. So if that's why I say the PNP make this bill come to law, boy, I don't know, you know. Then I don't know. Yeah, man. They have to fight teeth and nail. They have to fight teeth and blood clot nail. Them can't let her, them can't let down. If you look on a guy, you can see the evil upon him like some whole from them Hitler days there, you know. Where him come from, I don't know. And you look at him. Him come good. When my campaign, say my campaign for the people, I'm going to do this. Sleep with the door and window open, rate and lele. Police can't abuse people and get away with it. All of them things I'm saying now, when he come in at the opposite, what I'm doing, promote the police them to do any shit and get away with it. And this guy is still there. This guy should have gone a long time without the picture, you know. Yeah, man. Should have gone a long time without the picture. Believe you me.
It serves the people who need it most, not our friends. To ensure that public resources are managed with discipline, fairness, accountability, not buzzwords, words the government ought to get comfortable with. Because if we get the system right, recovery will follow. But if we get the system wrong, this bill risks leaving Jamaicans with a heavy bill to pay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Member from Trelawney.
Yeah, man, that was a rascal firing speech from Nikisha. Yeah, man. There's no doubt about that. Firing rascal speech. And the woman have a lot of teeth. So I see them a go on good from another day. And there's no doubt about that. Them a go on good from another day. But what? The man them go on like say, well then them a choir boy. But you know, you have to step up on a blood clot game, believe you me. Because Andrew Wallace can tackle easy, you know. Because this Billa, him come with it, and this Billa can tackle, how you call it, tackle him, you know. Tackle him to the fucking ground. And there's no joke about that. Use him one rascal ideas and kill himself. Well, kill himself not physically, but you know, disappearance out of fucking public eyes. That me I talk about.
There be more than a slogan.
Yeah, man. So in the end of the day, people have to just look on the whole process of what going on, you know, and get, because every Jamaica is supposed to have interest in a them type of rascal situation what go on in Jamaica with this narra bill. Because one serious thing this, you know. Because look on the sparks. Them kill off the sparks. Sparks now sparks again. While let the money gone. You know the election and them run. So them spread out the money. So them the money what them get from hurricane, all these $1 trillion, them a use it. Them a try if you come put in a one. Blood clot. No. But I mean, I know the blood clot, you know.
Somebody would me pussy clot.
No, sir. It's kind of blood clot, weird. For some say I go on. And you know, kind of weird. Weird, bad. Boy, oh boy. No, sir. Very weird. Very rascal weird. But anyway, PMP have to step up the game more. That's all I can say. PMP have to step up the game rascal more. To be truthful, yeah, man. PMP have to step up the game more. The woman them strong, them come out wheeling, flashing them rascal, whip and gun and everything. And it's like the JLP them woman them appears to watch and blood. Because them know a truth still, you know, because you're nikisha say people are come from the other side. I tell them must keep on fighting, but because them can't say nothing, you know. None of them over there knows things not right, you know, and things not go right, you know. But because them know, them can't talk. This is a dictator type of government who dictate them rascal members and dictate the country. So I know that's the country alone them dictate, but you know. Then them whole party. If you not toe the line, God name me supper. God name me rascal supper if you not toe the line. And that's all it is. Yeah, man. God name me supper. Not even when I say God name me supper, but I say dog name me supper. Because we're not about to put God in this. Because then again, you know, God teach people and give them wisdom. And if they must be and them learn a lot of people, that's why them go up on the devil side anyway. Because enough of we're supposed to have God now, some God now if you know so well then what go on right. That's why Malibu Ford come out and talk like that. She's the only one to come out and speak out. So just like where Nikisha say, well then a lot of them over there come and whisper to her, so must keep on fighting. Because them can't talk. Another truth. Because Andrew Wallace rule with an iron fist. And you know, say it's like him have some power. And you see him travel all over India and them places and Israel. Because of them blood clot leader there, you know, them on some rascal religion, fucking Guzo and all them fucking thing there, you know. where them have the people them do them things in India, Israel as well. Are some blood clot places that, and when you say, because Andrew Wallace is the first prime minister ever go to Israel. Just imagine that, as far as me know. And if anybody know any more better, let me know. So, you know, that one big rascal, no rascal thing to me again. Because remember, you know, Indian always are Jamaica, right? Indian and Chinese always are Jamaica. But the Jewish community never even count in Jamaica. I said this lately. Jewish community never really count in Jamaica like right now. They was way down on the list. You never see no Jew, nobody kind of what Jamaica and Israel have in common. What trade deal them have? None. So we leave our fucking neighbor them who we deal with Canada, America, and England, right? Venezuelan, on a blood clot, sell them out. Cuba, on a sell them out. Yo, I tell you there some wicked things that go on, you know. But you know, in at the end of the day, God not sleep. That's all I can say. Not sleeping.
There's money. Were pilfered and a PNP activist was taken into custody. The administration of Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, we take matters of accountability
shut up.
seriously. The modular houses
Like a sick blood clot, boy.
is subject to rigorous oversight. So, Senator, you ask where the houses them there? You have had your answer within a few minutes.
Where the houses them? Them can't show none.
The matter of the alleged absence of accountability mechanisms.
This is a short neck boy.
Has been put forward today by a
my
number
Senate.
of opposition senators. And Senator Hill,
Nastiness for them, you know.
so I won't spend much time on it. But the whole notion that narra is not subject to accountability mechanisms is plainly untrue.
Whatever rascal, all them reaching a parliament, only an Andrew's government.
The legislation is subject to the intervention of the duly constituted.
Look on that fat nasty one up there, sir. Marlon Morgan. Sweaty little rascal like him.
Auditor General, which may intervene and have access to the accounts at any time. Senator Hill said it, but it is worthy of repetition. NARA's activities are subject to the oversight of Parliament, including the PAC.
One thing you can't fool nobody around here, you know. You never go away, man, and go sit down.
Senator Hill spoke about
we'll get access to it anytime.
accounts being kept in keeping with the standards of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica. There is also provision for a yearly internal audit to be conducted.
All them come and read one speech. Somebody write something like they never read for them blood clot, mine and them soul yet. Just pierce script and thing like that.
NARA is accountable to the public. It is bound to keep a register of initiatives with pertinent details that registers to be gazetted and open for assessment by any
Nothing like that.
Of the public.
Nothing like that. Them still try to come with some written script until them can blood clot fool people.
From Jamrock. As we heard earlier in the debate, a model of oversight which has worked well when we consider with what Epoch brought to the table in challenging Jamaica economic times.
Them all know lie, them are telling you. They know them depend on fucking dangerous, nasty game, you know. With this narrow bill, you know. They know. Look at them, then uneasy. Them uneasy. They watch them body language. Yo.
Very unfortunate. I don't believe that this chamber should be used to denigrate the hard work, the integrity of hard-working Jamaicans. I think the senator might contemplate her comments and come to a reasonable view that she should recant what I contemplate as an unfortunate move to disparage the character and professionalism of Professor Peter Blair Henry. I outlined a bit earlier some of the accountability mechanisms which will govern NARA. I want Parliament to note that beyond the assistance of an auditor from a prominent private sector entity, these guardrails and oversight mechanisms I alluded to were not in place when a lesser natural disaster, Hurricane Ivan, hit Jamaica, and the PNP administration appointed an Office of National Reconstruction, which expended billions of dollars, with a CEO who was also its chairman, and who answered to the then erstwhile Prime Minister of Jamaica, Percival Patterson. And importantly, sir, this is not to smear or denigrate the work of the ONC, but to put some context to some of the current arguments about oversight. I've heard the argument put forward by the opposition, who have suggested that NARA could create a platform for corruption.
Well, of course, corruption.
Jamaicans may genuinely have this concern. So I will address the well-thinking Jamaicans. The truth is, sir, there is no system, no law across the globe where there is absolutely no possibility.
Liar tell. Look at you them put up there. Look about your senator.
However, that is why we have systems
You shit
of
up,
checks
man.
and
Go away.
balances in place. And we have outlined a number which pertain to the NARA bill. And that is why we also have anti-corruption institutions.
And now use it.
This administration has supported by way
You
of
fool,
major
you fuck, you know.
and indeed has passed legislation to make some of them autonomous and made the country's anti-corruption laws stronger.
Yeah.
And a careful analysis
Yeah.
of our political history will disclose that whenever allegations of malfeasance supported by evidence arise, this administration, led by Prime Minister Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, has taken swift and decisive action. It is worthy of note that Jamaica has had its best anti-corruption score as far as the assessment of international agencies
Lie again.
concerned under this administration of Prime Minister Dr. the Most Honorable.
Lie him a tell again.
And all this compared with the bemusing habit of the
Man says
opposition.
and tells some blatant lie, you know.
To this day, when their members misconduct
Blatant lie, him a tell.
circle the wagon,
Blatant lie.
excuses for misconduct. I'm confident, sir, that the NARA bill will be subjected to good governance and will get the job done. To Jamaica, I say, judge us by our actions.
Mirasla, yeah, then we are judging.
The concern of what I consider well-thinking Jamaicans.
Well, I tell you, you know, and that we are judging upon now, you know, no action.
Paving the way for corruption.
What a bomb club, but then fool, man.
NARA paving the way for corruption.
Him talk and I don't know what talk
Only
about.
proffered by the opposition.
Yo.
A few individuals and organizations who sometimes the media refer to as civil society. But a few of them are really supporters of the opposition. These organizations, sir, and individuals were eerily silent not too long ago or issued wishy-washy statements, Dr. Monroe, wishy-washy statements with absolutely no call for decisive action when it was disclosed that a company owned by a senior PNP member was implicated in a multi-million-dollar tax evasion scandal which continues to deepen. The Jack then UHWI scandal that is being investigated by a number of law enforcement agencies. But some of these organizations and individuals have been most loud and vocal, Professor Monroe, on the Narra bill, a bill that has not yet been passed into law. And they argue that it is because they are concerned about corruption. Some of them were here with us earlier today, sir. So having addressed the genuine concern of Jamaicans, to those who do not appear sincere, I say, your inconsistency is loud. Your partisanship is clear. And that is why you have a credibility deficit. And many well-thinking Jamaicans do not take you seriously. The opposition and some of their supporters have peddled the view that this Narra bill is creating...
Him can't talk without looking down on the script, you know.
We heard Senator Famer is a spectator.
That's why you know them false, my fake.
Earlier.
They're all fakes.
You'd have Jamaicans believe that unusual powers...
Come out with them fancy script all the while. The person who write them script there, you know, very skillful.
That is false. That narrative...
The person who writing these scripts for them, very skillful too, you know.
Dr. Honorable Dana Morris-Dixon did a very good job during her opening of making this point. But there are a number of agencies in Jamaica, including executive agencies, where the de facto CEO...
Look at him look like a Frightened Friday.
Is answerable to the minister.
He look like a Frightened Friday.
And the minister submits those finances.
Right at the Friday here.
So this notion that there is cause for undue alarm, yes?
Yes.
This is an unprecedented step. It's totally false. There are agencies...
The false like you, though.
With similar lines of accountability, even under the PNP administration. So again, the argument about the Prime Minister arrogating unto himself unusual powers as proffered by Senator Fame is false.
Liar tell false facts.
The people of Jamaica. I allow to Jamaica Customs, the Passport Immigration Agency, the RGD. Let us be clear, sir. There is nothing unusual about the chain of command on the Narra. Absolutely nothing unusual. And I want to make that clear to the people of Jamaica.
Who the fuck is you, anyway? Look a short neck idiot.
Another narrative advanced by the opposition in the public domain is the matter of a joint select committee.
Yes. Red herring.
Yes, a joint select committee. And I must say, sir.
Watch him. Can't talk without look upon script, you know.
The inconsistency of the opposition and the matter of...
Him not talk out of him mind, you know. Him talk with somebody right for him.
Melissa expenditure is amazing. It is staggering. Our country will recall that not long ago, the Prime Minister proposed a special select committee, a joint select committee, to consider Melissa expenditure. The opposition said no and declined to nominate members to serve on the committee. In November, Philip Paulwell was quoted as saying that such a committee is unnecessary because it will take away from the powers of the Parliamentary Oversight Committee. That was the posture of the opposition when Dr. Holness suggested a joint select committee. Yes? The argument, sir, at the time was the urgency of the situation meant a joint select committee is not necessary. And they said the Parliamentary Oversight Committees are sufficient. Yes. Yes. That was their argument. Now, when a special purpose legislative vehicle to fast-track the reconstruction process has been put forward, the opposition has changed their minds and they say, we are demanding a joint select committee. We heard Senator Ramon Small Ferguson adumbrate along that line earlier today.
Just to delay stuff.
They said, let us delay for another 4 weeks or so and put it before a joint select committee. You know, sir, I observed the debate in the lower house. I listened very keenly. And a member from Eastern Westmoreland, the PNP's Dr. Dayton Campbell, drew for the good book during his contribution to the narra debate. I submit that he drew for the right book, but he read the wrong verse.
Which verse did he read? Wrong verse.
The scripture, sir, that may be appositely used to describe the opposition's posture on this matter, the Joint Select Committee, is James 1:8.
And somebody write this speech for him, you know.
It's unstable.
Well, them people are really devious, you know.
I put it to you, sir, that communities in Jamaica,
Watch it. Just watch him body language.
the entire post-Melissa restoration effort cannot afford and in fact should not be detained by the palpable flip-flopping and instability of the opposition PNP and their surrogates. Should not be detained. And to make matters worse, it was not long ago that the opposition called a media conference and lamented what they alleged is the slow pace of the effort to build back communities in Jamaica after the devastating impact of Hurricane Melissa. One opposition MP got into character, evinced tears, and accused the administration of dragging its feet while communities suffer. Of course, the administration was hard at work and on course, well down the wicket in crafting the narra bill, which, let me highlight again, is a special purpose legislative vehicle intended to build back communities and help Jamaicans restore their lives quickly. And now, the administration of Dr. Holness has brought that bill to Parliament. The same opposition MPs who were lamenting a delay, they are now advocating for additional delay. 4 more weeks to consider the matter, they say. Again, sir, I call out the posture of the opposition as insincere and not in the best interest of the people of Jamaica.
Oh, shut your fuck, man. Them people are easier blood clot, you know. They play reverse psychology over and over and over again.
On comparing legislation across the world, the narra bill, because I believe a good job has been done at that by members of the lower house.
Over 6 months, the hurricane come and gone. And all now people still not appalling. Road, place mash up same way, nothing are done. People still are living at school. And this blood clot man are come try to blame opposition, and opposition living in the government. And not them get the money. Because them feel like them, yo, want to step aside, man.
And the upper house.
Step aside.
Yo. Senator Dana Morris Dixon, who led this debate. But a newspaper article where one Sayer Wilson said, Jamaica's narra bill marks a decisive shift from reactive recovery to proactive institutionalized building, positioning Jamaica as an emerging thought leader in disaster governance, captures the situation perfectly, Senator Brown. Yes, this Wilson public commentator eruditely said, in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, narra embeds centralized coordination, performance accountability, and integrated planning across ministries and agencies, ensuring that the recovery processes are structured, coherent, and aligned with national development priorities. End quote. Wise words, sir, way beyond their years. Incidentally, Miss Wilson is the daughter of a thoughtful and patriotic Jamaican, the erstwhile PNP General Secretary Maxine Henry Wilson, whose temperament is far removed from some of the toxic tribalism that has entered the submissions of the opposition members regarding this debate. In closing, sir, I think there is a wide recognition across the globe that governments are elected to lead, and that the executive must retain the authority to execute policies further to its mandate given to it by the people. But from time to time in Jamaica, anytime moves are made to put in place decisive measures geared towards changing systems which have not worked, there are some across society who say, let us water down legislative and executive power. Yes, and if they have their way, they turn the society into a coalition government.
Absolutely.
Yes, with unending demands for consultation and efforts to dilute executive authority. We believe in consultation, but there will come a time we will have to make a call. And for one reason or the next, these demands are made anytime the Jamaica Labour Party administration is in office. But you know, sir, I feel compelled to say this to the Parliament. I have observed Dr. Holness at work, the minister who piloted this bill. I have observed him successfully work at building Jamaica and ensuring that policies enumerate to the best interest of the people of Jamaica. And
Go
he has
sit
had the courage
down,
to
man. You
ensure that
fucking
systems
sound so
which do not
dumb.
work are decisively adjusted.
Script reader.
No doubt, perhaps our region's most progressive, aware, and skillful navigator of difficult times, and importantly, an implementer of good policy. He delivered for the people in navigating COVID-19 when the administration delivered the most massive care and welfare package in the history of independent Jamaica.
You mean say him enriching himself during the course of COVID 2020? You piece of shit like you. Come like a piece of idiot.
Dr. Holness.
Only done same around and can't tell them things there. And they say no, the whole all on enriching on yourself. And do a certify. What is a piece of shit?
And his cabinet delivered for Jamaica in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl. And despite efforts to block measures intended to save Jamaican lives, Dr. Holness took the crime bull by the horn and led a suite of policies which have seen murder plummet and have saved thousands of Jamaican lives. At an important juncture in the life of the nation, sir, as far as the narra bill is concerned, I wish to say to Dr. Holness, you have consulted far and wide, including overseas.
I must say him said that already, you know. Him check far and wide. When if anybody in party have anything upon them, and when it was him. So you should come up with the same, keep on shooting yourself in and foot over and over and over. So the person who write all that speech for you, look like you don't really speech for to read it. You see it happen over and over. The speech writer, I send a message, you know. Because him come back and come start the same thing where all this already, and then him then find wanted. So the guy tell blunt, that alone make him shouldn't resign, you know. That alone make him get the letter them from the Integrity Commission by mail and by, what you call it, electronic, right? And him come and say, him search wide and far. And there's nobody in the party. As far as him concerned, when it was him. And you are read this now. You know, see, you get the speech through, they write the speech for you, but you never read it and go through it and rub out that little bit. That's all so fucking full. At 2 times, I see it catch you know. Yeah, man. No fuck, no.
Concerning what works.
No, go down slowly but surely, believe you me.
But ultimately, sir, the mandate is yours. And our administration, which has been given the mandate by the people of Jamaica, owing to the events which occurred on the 3rd of September 2025. It is us who they expect to deliver positive outcomes in times of crisis. Let us move forward, sir, press ahead, and deliver for our people. This narra bill is a decisive step in the right direction. And a few seconds before the expiration of my time, I'm pleased to indicate the bill, sir, as my strong support. Thank you.
What the criminal let me know a knock bench? If God was like man and fucking at the bench and the owner and never fucking come back up.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator Fitzhenley. Senator Scott Motley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I wondered why you asked me to read the prayers this morning. And I thank you for doing so, because I hope it has put me into a proper frame of mind to be kind, forgiving, understanding, and trying to reach
Be yourself.
beyond myself. You know, Mr. President, all from this narrow bill was tabled. It brought back memories to me of a NERA bill. And that NERA bill is known as NIDS. It was significant to me, perhaps not to others, because it was the first bill which I had responsibility for as leader of opposition business in the Senate. My very first experience, because when I came in as leader. And I tried, because it is my nature, to point out some of the flaws which I perceived. In fact, the opposition and civil society groups had called for a joint select committee to consider it. And we were told, in no uncertain manner, absolutely not. No more time. It had been 40 years in the making. And that was true. It had been 40 years in the making. We sat until Saturday morning trying to go through that bill, which had come from the House, I think, with 63 amendments. And we worked until 1:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. It was only adjourned on an agreement that we would return on a Monday to complete it. And no matter what we said, no matter what we did, the government would not be moved from its position. The upshot of that, Minister Hill, was that when the matter was taken to court, certain aspects of it was challenged as being unconstitutional and abrogating the Charter of Rights. The court felt that there could be no severance because the bill was so flawed. And so, all of that time was lost in a bill which the opposition really supported, but which the government was so urgent that it couldn't wait at all. And it reminds me, narra reminds me of NERA.
Fear NERA and narrow. Bad for the blood clot soul.
I'm going to come to it. Narra reminds me of NERA. Because when you look at it, when you break down what the requests are, perhaps the most constant one is, why not a board? In the opinion of what you call right-thinking members, a board would strengthen the accountability. Now, I have not heard any reason why putting a board in place would make the whole system bog down. I have not seen the difficulty which would be created by having a board instead of an advisory body. There is no point in explaining the difference.
This is very unusual, but I have to call to the minister and ask her.
Sir. I'm going to answer the minister. There is no point in explaining the difference between Jamrock and Epoch, because it has been explained ad nauseum. It's just that you will not hear it. No matter what is said outside of your team, you do not hear it. And that is a danger in how you lead, because your philosophy is a leader-centric philosophy which says you have voted for us. We are led by the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, and whatever he says is what happens. In other words, you have said on numerous occasions, including not so long ago, that you were elected to govern, and govern you will. There is never any space or place for the views of the people unless it's convenient for you to do that. And I will give you another example. When we were in this House debating the Firearms Act, and I pointed out some of the problems in that act. Because I'd been on the Joint Select Committee and I tried hard there. When we had the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Chief Justice, pointing out the challenges which were created by that piece of legislation, all we got was a promise to amend it. But you didn't listen. And you know why you didn't listen? Because if it comes from the opposition or somebody who is not a part of your cheering gallery, you never hear.
Can't work like that. Banana Republican.
It's so unusual to see you get hot under the collar. Have I managed to stir up that kind of passion in you? Oh. So, there is no one. It is not debatable about the impact of Hurricane Melissa on our country. The memorandum captures it quite clearly. The memorandum speaks to the fact that the devastation amounts to 56.7% of GDP as measured in 2024. It speaks to the loss which was experienced, and therefore brings the clear justification for wanting expediency and urgency to solve the problems of the country. It says the hurricane traversed the island, resulting in catastrophic loss and damage to lives, livelihoods, and economic, social, cultural, and environmental systems. I scoured the bill. I scoured the bill for a clause which would show me that it has been addressed. I could not find a clause that adequately referenced that. The woes which the people have experienced. And when Senator Duncan spoke, it became, I don't want to misquote him, and I made a note of it. The emphasis in your bill is on development and commercial activities. Well needed. There's no question about it. But where do the people factor in this? Because I'm going to pose a scenario. A spot in Westmoreland. I'm going to choose Petersfield because Petersfield is always on my mind now. Although I've never visited Petersfield, I do not know Petersfield. A beautiful piece of land on which families have lived for decades. Because in rural Jamaica, as you know because of your land titling projects, which you have, people live on a piece of land forever. My grandfather did born here. Oh, Senator Abka is not here to hear me engage the vernacular. But grandfather did born here, father did born here. Everybody, they can show generationally their connection to the land, but they do not have a piece of paper in their hand. A developer wants to do a development which falls within Section 25, a high-value tourism project. There is nothing in this bill that requires even those persons who are going to be dispossessed to know that they are going to be dispossessed. Because the notice is not given to anybody nor posted anywhere. The notice is only given to the authority, not to the people. And the bill has no mechanism for anybody to appeal anywhere.
No.
You see, you talk about the Canberra Earthquake Recovery Authority, but there were safeguards in that bill. But let's look at 17.4. I don't have a problem with saying that I'm wrong. So let me look at 17.4 as you have pointed out. So this was one of the amendments which was done to the bill, right? The authority shall, in developing and for monitoring the implementation of reconstruction and resilience projects, programs and plans, hold consultations with persons affected or likely to be affected by the implementation of a project. And I'm fully aware of this. I am also aware of, I'm making a slight departure. I'm also very much aware of your clause 3, which speaks to administration. And when establishing the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, at clause 3.2, the provisions of the schedule shall have effect as to the constitution and procedure of the authority and otherwise in relation thereto. There is no schedule. The only schedule to this bill is the schedule that appoints the CEO. There is no schedule that actually tells you about the constitution and the procedure of the CEO.
What?
None.
So they want to sneak in the blood clot this.
The people who have suffered in the hurricane are not at the center of this legislation. What this legislation does,
and let them get the money for do,
which you cannot see, but people are aware of it, is that all projects, it's a bypass of the regulatory bodies. Because you can simply, once it's over $15 million and it fits into 25, which is very, very broad, you can have your project pass through NARA. It says, it enumerates several areas, and it also says any other sector as a cabinet may determine where strategic opportunities arise that serve the reconstruction and economic resilience objectives of the Act. And it is silent on helping the people. Did you need a NARA to help the people from Westmoreland? Did you fail to help the people from Westmoreland because you had no NARA? You have people who have just been removed from shelters into surroundings which are far from adequate. You have people who live in a school hanging out their clothes on a line, and indeed, having because the school has become their home. And you even boast about the fact that, oh, it's family, they're all related, and also that they're related to some of the teachers. That is how you deal with people. That is how you handle people who are suffering. And then come to tell me that a strategic investment has people at the heart, when for 6 months they are driving down in St. Elizabeth, and St. Elizabeth, they say, don't look any different from the hurricane. They are, because, you know why? You know why? Because we don't have NARA, and you don't have emergency procurement provisions, which your minister, because your minister Vaz did not know that he could have procured this Starlink under emergency procurement provisions. Because even though procurement is very challenging, there are ways. The law always creates a way for you to get it done, and your emergency procurement provisions could do it. But you have no real interest in the plight of the people. You have no real interest in the plight of the people. You can't be connected to the people because, for one, when you drive on the road, you drive with flashing cars, so you don't even know what we experience when we sit in traffic. You only speak to people in your echo chamber. But let me continue, President. There is, one would have thought that after the dry harbor ruling, the government might have contemplated, even for a moment, whether they ran the risk of a similar fate as NIS. Whether they ran the possibility of having this piece of legislation overturned. Because that step in order, which could cause a real issue. You see, the 3 justices in the Dry Harbor case established 4 constitutional requirements that must be satisfied before a minister can override the decision of an independent regulatory body. It said that, firstly, there must be a sound and rational basis for substituting the minister's decision for that of the specialist regulatory body, and that basis must be demonstrable, not merely asserted. 2, the reasons must be explained to the public, to the affected people, and if necessary, to the court. Transparency of reasoning is not optional, it is constitutionally required. 3, the Constitution protects against likely harm. Likely harm, not just actual harm. Rights are engaged before the damage occurs. Just a door being opened to the harm is sufficient. And importantly, economic benefit claims and aspirational development goals must be supported by concrete evidence, feasibility studies, hard data, proper analysis, because generalized assertions do not satisfy constitutional requirements. I zero in, because of my time, on the reasons explained to the public and affected people. There is no requirement in Section 24 to publish a step-in order, no gazette obligation, no notification to affected communities, no requirement to explain reasons to the public.
No transparency.
The regulator gets a notification
None at all.
and an opportunity to make representations to the minister. But that is a representation to the decision maker, not a public explanation of the decision. Section 24 does not require that reasons must be explained to the people, to the public, to the affected people. Now, I know exactly what the response will be. You know, after you sit down there for a while, you can actually write the scripts, you know, you just need to fill in some little spaces that you leave. Because this, you know, okay, this is what, and then now hit the opposition with something from way, way back, and you can write the scripts. But but let me say, in the Dry Harbor case, the Prime Minister overrode the NRCA using existing ministerial appellate authority under the Act. Now, we don't have that here, of course. There is no appeal process, nothing by which you can be heard. The court said that exercise of existing authority was unconstitutional because it lacked sound rational basis, transparency, and evidence. Now, Section 24 of the bill attempts to cure that deficiency by creating a statutory framework for the override with procedural steps, a notification requirement to the regulator, and an independent expert requirement. The question is whether those are satisfactory to satisfy the constitutional requirements of the bill. So here is my concern. The procedural steps are addressed to the authority, not to the community. The community has no role in the process, none outlined anywhere that I could find. So the full court's requirement of notifying the people is not satisfied by notifying the regulator. The independent expert is commissioned by the authority, not appointed independently. So you know how it goes, Senator Hill. We get somebody who we tell we're going who we, you and I will discuss it privately. So you select somebody who you know will agree with what you're doing and will support what you're doing, and you ask them for their independent opinion.
That's exactly what Andrew Wallace doing it. Him to select who he want to select, who gonna agree with him, like Dennis Strong, and he put him in that big position to try to kill him, rascal, corruption. So that's how the government work. Pay and pick, just like Dana Morrison. The woman now good job in the public sector, private sector, and him go and take her out and pay her much more millions to come tell lie about appoint her the education minister. Nobody no vote for her. This is how this blood clot guy run this government, right? So this man attack the facts and them not like it. Them unpick people who no qualify, but once them will blood clot and follow your step, because them want some money as well, and they will back you. And just like Fitzhenley, Sharpneck Fitzhenley, Marlon Morgan and all these people, them who never in a politics in the earlier days, you know. Them could even be a fucking councillor. But you know, Anna and Jones, everything work. Anything goes. Yeah. Anything goes.
The only way that you could cure that is if you had a process by which the independent expert is not commissioned by the authority and is appointed independently. But you don't really want any level of accountability because you don't want the board. You want to rely on EPOC and to say Jamrock is going to have the same kind of credibility and integrity as EPOC. Even though EPOC was monitoring a very strict framework which had been established to ensure good fiscal government in Jamaica, and was required to hold the government to account and to tell the people every week what was happening. It was not in the legislation, but it was done in an environment where there was not what your own members say is a low trust environment. It's in a low, we are operating in a low trust environment. The words are not used by me. I am quoting from your own members who spoke in the House, who said this is a low trust environment.
So then remember what I'm saying?
The people are listening.
You remember what I'm saying?
The people are listening, Minister.
Yeah, people are listening through.
The people are listening.
Because them fucking run out of steam.
Senator Duncan, one word that you used, which was very important, was social consensus. And social consensus is transformative in achieving objectives. When you have the people on your side, everything changes. You had social consensus with EPOC. You had social consensus. Minister, I have two questions. Minister Dana Morris Dixon. I haven't seen in the bill any, is it contemplated that Jamrock will be established under Clause 7? Because that is so unclear, especially the language.
What's a bomber clad,
It says it
muppet
may.
face?
The minister may
Look like a
establish
kitten,
committee.
puss kitten.
You can't, I shouldn't.
Yeah, man, she wanted to unpick them. Andrew was going to take her out of her blood clot private sector. Good job. And bring her in a parliament.
Bill which has come before the
Because
House
she
in
corrupted.
recent times. I shouldn't have to wonder how this oversight body on which you place so much reliance is going to be established. I know exactly. I know exactly. No, the first one was about the schedule, which I can't find. I can't find any schedule that is being referred. And I think if it were there, it would be a very important schedule for us
To
look
find
at,
easily.
except that it simply is not. It does not exist.
Woman, I'm a little liar, man. Dana Morrison. Come out and tell Pete. I tell you,
Last week, too, when you spoke, Minister, I was very embarrassed by what you said about the Portmore municipality and the long wait that you had. I really thought it was an indictment, except that I didn't know that there were issues surrounding the ownership of the land on which the fence was going to be built. And I think that that addition, that further explanation would have made a significant difference to how it was perceived. Because I had to make an inquiry. When you hear somebody, a minister, say that a fence which is needed for the security and the safety of the children has been delayed by a municipality for over 18 months, you must be concerned. Save and accept that there was a dispute over the ownership of the land which prevented the municipality from giving the permission. That is critical. That is critical. If I am incorrect, then you must take it up with the media who carried a report about the Nagahead situation. But when you're closing, tell me, explain to me how narra would have been used to resolve that situation. Is it that you would have acquired the land?
Yeah,
Because I am reading
by bull force,
that narra can do basically anything in the world that it desires to do.
Yeah, brute force.
And I think that for good governance, you should just pause and consider whether that is in fact what you intend, or it's an unintended consequence of the way that you have framed and approached the legislation. I am quite clear that you tabled a bill which you had to withdraw. I didn't see, or you decided to withdraw. I didn't see that bill. So I am making no comments on it. How it appears to me, and my concern, because I value and put the people at the center of why I am here. You understand? I don't have to be here. Just like when you were talking about our dear departed friend, Leslie. He didn't have to be here. He didn't really get anything from being here, but he wanted to serve. And I want to say,
when I evil face, man, stinking corruption face this, you know.
On the people
Look at it.
Who have been hurt in Melissa. The same people who are still hanging out their clothes on borrowed lines. The same people who pass by their house and see roof done, roof program done. The same people who can't drive on the road because Spark stops sparking. The same people who you are telling to wait on NARA because NARA will deliver everything that they have ever hoped for. I want to see what you have in it for the people, and I want you to give me an explanation as to why November, December, January, February, March, April, May. And I will say that I have achieved what I thought was impossible. I have the minister quite animated. Not at all, you are always very controlled. But I'm glad that I was able to break that. Yes, I like it. I like it.
So if you said for blood clot go on is?
As usual, as is quite clear, the concerns of the opposition will not be taken on board. But even worse in this instance, not one of the concerns of civil society who are now labeled People's National Party supporters simply because they are trying to build a Jamaica that is better, more resilient, has more integrity, more transparency, and more accountability. And this government is condemning them because they are doing their civic duty, if it pleases.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man, I try to say, well then, you know, woman, them are really a bark hard. Woo, woo. Yeah, man, Rockweiler style. More than man, them. Because the man, them are going on, them a choir boy, as we said before. But yeah, from Angela Brownberg to Nikisha, Burchell, and now Mackley come and really build up some strive and build up some vibes. And we love it. Yeah, man. We love it. Bad, bad, bad. Yeah. We listen some more.
Thank you very much, Senator Scott Motley.
By these matters, if the minister is so satisfied, the minister may approve, listen carefully, the minister may approve, subject to any terms and conditions, an application made or submitted by the authority to an approving entity on which that approving entity has not made a decision. So that stepping order happens when the approving entity, long after the authority has tried to get expedition, has failed to do anything or failed to do certain things. And then you say to the minister, they have not made a decision. What can the minister do then? Can the minister, there's nothing for the minister to overturn at this point. So what does the minister, what else can the minister do? The minister can vary or modify or remove a term or condition of which an approval was made. And the stepping order shall have effect as if that stepping order was an approval granted by the approving entity to which the authority first made application. You know what that means? Nothing here gives the minister the power of approval.
Loyalty, go
or
sit
rather
down.
the power to overturn an approval of the statutory entities that now have the jurisdiction to approve.
Coming from your little dirty mouth.
Oh, that's not true. Read it again, youngster.
Yeah.
When the argument is made that the minister is given these vast, wide powers, it's not true. You know where the vast, wide powers exist? They exist in the Town and Country Planning Act, which was modified in 1999 by an excellent minister, Easton Douglas, who was then minister of several things. And the modification at that time in the Town and Country Planning Act allowed an appeal to be made to the minister instead of to an appeals tribunal. And what can the minister do when the appeal comes to him? The minister can reverse any decision that was made. The minister cannot reverse an approval on the narra. The minister can step in and arrive at a decision where there has been a failure to arrive at a decision by the entities.
Woman, go sit down, because you're trying to be a fuckery, a foolishness. I kill up yourself and I try to be a shit.
What's the clock looking like? Oh, when we talk about delay, let us get a minor, a tiny, a little understanding of what we're dealing with in a development application. When you make an application, let us take a look at the consultation process. All applications for development approval must be made to the local planning authority. In other words, the parish council, in other words, the municipal authority. Every single application for development approval goes to that one place in each parish. And there are certain circumstances that...
Not an unruly government, so stop the shit that we are talking.
When an application is now to be considered, let us talk about the consultation process that has not fallen away because of narra. It still exists. The local planning authority must consult with several entities. I'll just tell you about 14 of them. The neighboring local planning authority, the chief technical director, the minister responsible for agriculture, the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, the Natural Resources Conservation Authority, with the ministry responsible for health and environment control, where the development consists of certain things like rivers and streams and storing mineral oils and whatnot, with the commissioner of mines, the Mines and Geology Division, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency, Water Resources Authority and National Water Commission, the Civil Aviation Authority,
like the
Relevant Building Authority, the Forestry Department, and I could go on. I mentioned these entities that must be consulted for this
Pay
reason.
bag of shit you come talk, it don't make no sense. Because you just try to save your skin, and that's all it is.
As a parish council, as a municipal body, when an application is made of a certain scale, it takes a lot of commentary and consultation with many bodies. And that, therefore, can take long. And you know what take long means? I always hear people talk about a 30-day and 90-day approval process. The law already says that. The law says that the authority must approve in 90 days. And if you fail to do so, the person who applied have certain rights, including appealing to the minister, who can then approve and do other things. Let's continue talking a little bit about consultations. Under the Building Act, which was passed in what, 2018? Oh yes, I carry everything and I leave now. No man, I am in one place. You stay with me, youngster. So, me? Oh, under the Building Act, we're still talking about consultation because the argument has been made that there is no consultation provisions in the Act, that there are no provisions made for consultation. Again, I use the word, and I use the word very politely. That's nonsense. So let us take a look at the consultation provisions here that exists now. And remember, what I'm talking about is a consultation process that must be engaged before you even reach narra. And that has not fallen away. You still have that. A local authority may direct the holding of a public or private consultation in the area under its jurisdiction. You hear me? Consultation must take place, and all interested parties have a right to be heard. And interested parties including owner, occupier, and persons in the neighborhood. And let's talk about notification. It hasn't fallen away. It continues to exist under the Building Act, where notice must be given. And when that notice is given, it must include certain things. Not only describing the development, it must contain a statement that any interested person who is aggrieved by or has objections to the carrying out of the building work may register his objections with the local authority. That still exists. And it doesn't matter whether it's a narrow development or not, that still exists. And then there are provisions under the Town and Country Planning Act, many of which kicks in before you even get to the provisions in narrow. So, all these provisions that I've mentioned on consultations, and there are many more, they matter. And the provision on consultation in narrow that allows for persons affected or likely to be affected to be consulted matters and matters deeply. And it is important to note, Mr. President, that it goes much, much, much further than what currently obtains under these development laws that I just mentioned. Under these laws, the consultation and notice provisions are strong, they are powerful, and hello, they are still alive. Mr. President, I am very heartened by the provision in the narrow bill that deals with consultation. And I'm equally heartened that many persons hopefully will now have a better appreciation of the fact that their protections that existed before NARA continue to exist. And let us quickly mention a case that was decided recently. That case does not touch or trouble NARA in any manner whatsoever, because that case deals with a situation where planning permission was denied by the authorities, and the applicant Bengal appealed to the minister, and the minister reversed the decision taken by the authorities. There is no power of reversal set out in NARA. None. Maybe somewhere else. Maybe in that piece of legislation that you want to quarrel about, but it is not NARA. And one of the reasons why I'm heartened by the provisions in NARA and the extent of the protection that I see being provided to the people of Jamaica is that it shows that this government, this Dr. Andrew Michael Holness government respects the voice of the people in decision making. That's what it means. Mr. President, it means that communities will not be ignored. Consultation is real in NARA. It means that citizens will not be sidelined. And it means that construction will not happen behind closed doors or beyond the reach of the Jamaican people. Consultation under this framework, Mr. President, is not optional. It is not symbolic. It is a legal obligation embedded directly into the architecture of the legislation itself. And that is important, Mr. President, because lasting national resilience cannot be built only with concrete and steel. One of Jamaica's greatest development challenges has never been the absence of ideas. We're a people of ideas and song and dance and kumbaya, but it has been the absence of coordination. And Clause 19, Mr. President, may very well be one of the most consequential provisions in this entire legislation because it forces Jamaica to confront a painful truth. It is grounded in a simple but powerful principle that Jamaica cannot continue rebuilding vulnerably. We cannot continue. We have prepared roads that collapse after the next heavy rainfall. I drove on one recently, the hills of St. Mary, and was appalled at the deterioration because of some rain. We have restored infrastructure that was never designed for the realities of a changing climate, and ordinary Jamaicans have paid the price for those missteps. Mr. President, this clause does not merely speak about rebuilding. It speaks about rebuilding intelligently, responsibly, and sustainably, which is another hallmark of this government. Again, Mr. President, consultation is not optional under this framework. It is critically important in a modern world where conditions evolve rapidly. Climate threats evolve, weather patterns evolve, economic realities evolve, and national planning must be capable of adapting in real time. There must be reporting, there must be oversight, and there must be accountability. And Clause 19.3, Mr. President, may be one of the most humane and forward-looking provisions contained anywhere in this legislation.
And no doubt one of the other speakers that come after you will deal with it.
Because, finishing, because, Mr. President, at its heart, this clause is about protecting people. Clause 19.3 provides.
I can't do that.
About 10 minutes, Mr. President.
No, I can't.
All right, 5 minutes, Mr. President.
Everybody has 30 minutes. Come again? You want me to tell you that?
No, I'm quite fine with that. Mr. President, Clause 19.3, as I said, may be one of the most humane. It provides that the development of projects, programs, and plans shall prioritize the needs of any specially vulnerable areas, the achievement of climate and disaster resilience, and solutions that are informed by historical and current natural and climatic environmental processes.
You saw them blood clot bias. Everybody get 30 minutes. Him is the speaker. Him say him can't do that. And him override and make woman attack. You see all them blood clot and fear. These people. You Tavares. None of them set the standard right at all. Everybody get 30 minutes flat. And she want 10 minutes and she asks for 5 minutes now. And then him attack and then she just jump up and attack without no permission. And then beat, bench and laugh. What kind of fuckery is this? That's why I say the opposition, them rascal, the one like a choir boy, you know. They should never allow that to happen. And the speaker would never blow clot allow it. Because he must go by the rule. Everybody get 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, whether opposition or the government side. Why you want extra? And look how it just passed. You want to start to talk and when I want nastiness, you know. Yeah, man.
Including wind,
rainwater
percolation, groundwater flow, and surface water flow. And eliminate, mitigate. Yes, Mr. President.
Stop and go, man.
Minimize adverse natural hazard and environmental impact. Mr. President.
What the blood clot is, man?
That you have all been very generous in listening to me today. And I believe, Mr. President, that it must be patently and abundantly clear that I support this bill without reservation.
Go away, man. Go away. Them think beating bench like that and make it overnight. Them think them in a dance hall, I got to get them nowhere. They sell the hooligan blood clot work. Because what them are talk about, a peer like you want to come tell and read out, you know. Nothing no go say, you know. And them know that, but them just set them trap here for the opposition. Yeah. That's what them do. Opposition, them come and them talk the right thing, but them too somber, you know. Them need to be more bowler. More aggressive. Yeah. And that we can't take with them.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator.
PNP, they need to start and get more arrogant with them, more
Thank
bowler.
you very much, Senator Rose Bennett Cooper.
Oh, that little idiot man, I want Senate. I want little old Senate them bring in it. So all Utipek. That's why I never know all little old Senate Andrew will pick up and
1
bring it
minute.
in the Senate
I
again.
need a 420 motion, I'm informed. 1
Anybody
minute.
who can talk and arrogant, that him bring in the Senate, to defend him,
Mr. President, might the standing orders be suspended to allow the sitting to proceed beyond 4:30 to complete the business of the day?
Members should have heard the motion. Those in favor? Against? Senator Tomlinson, that's you.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, in response to what I just heard in the debate, all I can say, Mr. President, is that there are some lawyers I would never even consider to defend me in a traffic court because the quality of the interpretation of the law would be so poor that I think I would lose that case, Mr. President. And there were a lot of misconceptions about the bill that was expressed by the member. And I will, during the course of my presentation,
appeal law she come up and come tell, man.
To those
And
misconceptions.
then people are Andrew will use to come and blow
But I
try
want to
defend
begin
him.
with this. I noticed that there is a concerted effort on the part of those on that side to disingenuously distort the position of those on this side with respect to the Naira bill. And I want to state
That's what I'm
clearly,
doing, yes.
without ambiguity, Mr. President, that we on this side are not opposed to reconstruction. We're not opposed to resilience. We lost constituents in Hurricane Melissa. We watched communities in Westmoreland, in St. Elizabeth, in St. James be devastated in ways that this country has not seen since Hurricane Gilbert. We understand as acutely as anyone in this chamber the urgency of getting the recovery right. But it is precisely because we understand the scale of what this authority will be asked to do. Precisely because we understand the billions of dollars that will flow through this entity, the regulatory powers that it will wield, the statutory bodies that it will be able to override, that we cannot, Mr. President, in good conscience, stand here and wave this bill throughout without saying what needs to be said. Throughout the whole debate on this bill, the question has never been whether Jamaica needs to rebuild. So when I hear them distorting the position of this side, I must say that the question is whether this bill, in its current form, gives the Jamaican people the governance framework and the accountability architecture that an undertaking of this magnitude demands. And the answer, Mr. President, is that it does not. I want to place on record the opposition's deep regret at the manner in which the legislation has been handled. This is not a routine bill. This bill creates a statutory body with powers to override decisions of a regulatory authority in the country. It allows a single minister by order to override those bodies without gazetting that order, without reporting to Parliament, without any public record of having done so. It allows a chief executive officer appointed by the Prime Minister to enter into transactions and sign contracts of unlimited value unilaterally with no co-signatory, no board authorization, no financial threshold. And it was seemingly brought to this Parliament with the expectation that it would pass with minimal opposition. Civil society raised concerns. Members of the government, members of their side, raised concerns. The opposition raised concerns, clause by clause, with specific legislative remedies attached to each. The government moved amendments that addressed a minority of the concerns. And it comes to the Senate and asking us to pass this bill. Mr. President, that is not good enough. And this side will say no. The government has shown contempt for criticism of the bill and a dangerous disregard for the simple truth that confidence in this legislation must be earned through engagement with contrasting views. Mr. President, the deficiencies in this bill should be taken in the context of the level of trust that the government is asking of the people. When a government asks its citizens to accept a statutory body with vast powers, a single unaccountable executive, no governing board, no audit committee, no mandatory parliamentary visit by the CEO. Mr. President, when it asks for that level of trust, the threshold question is, has the government demonstrated through its conduct in office the kind of probity and respect for institutional boundaries and constitutional norms that would justify any administration being given this kind of unrestrained executive authority over billions of public dollars? The record speaks for itself. The government has faced repeated adverse findings in our courts on constitutional grounds. This is a government whose record of respect for constitutional constraints has been tested and found wanting, not by the opposition, but by the judiciary. When the courts of this land have had occasion to examine whether that administration has remained within its constitutional boundaries, the rulings have not been flattering. That is a matter of public record, and it is directly relevant to whether this Senate should be comfortable passing legislation that concentrates this much unreviewed executive power in the administration's hands. Mr. President, further to that fact, in a country where procurement irregularities have been a persistent feature of public life, where major infrastructure projects have been plagued by cost overruns, i.e. Cornwall Regional Hospital, and questionable contractor selections, this government is asking us to create a procurement and project delivery vehicle with less oversight than the bodies that already exist. Mr. President, this is extraordinary. I want to be clear, Mr. President, that this is an argument that good governance does not depend on personal integrity of those who happen to hold power at any given time. Good governance depends on systems and structures, checks and balances that work regardless of who is in office. The tragedy of this bill is not that it creates narra, is that it creates narra without institutional architecture that would make it trustworthy under this current government. Now, Mr. President, I want to move to some of the structural deficiencies that I have identified, and we have repeated them on our side, and I will speak about two of them, and then I will move into a broader substantive point. On the substance of the bill itself, because of the concerns on this side, we will repeat that the bill is problematic. There's a blanket exemption from the performance investment management system, Mr. President. There's a provision in this bill, Mr. President, there's a provision in this bill that has received far too little attention in the public discourse. I'm speaking about Section 26, which grants a blanket exemption for all approved reconstruction and resilience projects and all designated strategic investment projects from key provisions of the public investment management system. For the benefit of the Senate, let me explain what the PIMS is and what it does. PIMS was established in 2014 through the amendments to Section 48J of the Financial Administration and Audit Act and the creation of the fourth schedule of that act. It is Jamaica's primary statutory framework for the preparation, appraisal, approval, and management of public investment projects. Every public investment project, irrespective of the source of funding and the type of procurement or implementation method used, has to be subjected to this. Its stated purpose is to promote transparency and accountability in the design, implementation, and assessment of public investments, to maximize efficiency through better project selection and to ensure that the government receives value for money. It does through a structured process involving the Public Investment Management Committee, chaired by the Minister of Finance, a technical review committee chaired by the Director General of the PIOJ, and expert input from institutions including the Ministry of Finance and the Office of the Cabinet, the DBJ, and NEPA. In short, Mr. President, the PIMS is an independent, multi-institutional gate through which every major public investment in Jamaica must pass. Section 26 of the NARA bill removes that gate entirely for NARA projects. Section 26 exempts every single project that NARA will implement from the very PIMS provisions that are supposed to provide that assurance. The government cannot simultaneously rely on PIMS as a safeguard and then exempt NARA projects from PIMS. It is one or the other, and Section 26 of this bill makes it clear which one the government has chosen. The specific provisions being disapplied in the Financial Administration and Audit Act are Section 48B, 2B, and Section 48J of the Financial Administration and Audit Act, and the fourth schedule. The fourth schedule operationalizes it, establishing the project appraisal process, the cost-benefit analysis requirements, the risk assessment framework, and the value for money evaluation that every project must pass through before cabinet approval. By exempting NARA projects from these provisions, this bill becomes an independent technical appraisal that determines whether a project is financially viable, whether it represents value for money, whether its risks have been properly identified and mitigated, and whether it is consistent with Jamaica's strategic development objectives. Now, Mr. President, I anticipate that the government's response will be that speed is of the essence, that reconstruction cannot wait for the full PIMS cycle, and that the urgency of the post-hurricane environment justifies a streamlined approach. And I want to engage with that argument seriously, because in principle, it is not without merit. There are circumstances in which emergency procurement and expedited project approval are legitimate and necessary. But that argument, even at its strongest, justifies a modified PIMS process, an expedited appraisal, a compressed timeline, a streamlined technical review committee, not a blanket exemption from the appraisal entirely, Mr. President. The choice before this bill was not between PIMS in full and no PIMS at all. That's a false choice that the government has presented before us, and this Senate should name it as such. What makes the exemption particularly troubling is the company it keeps in this legislation. Consider that NARA projects will now operate without independent cost-benefit analysis under the PIMS, independent project approval by the Technical Review Committee, and the scrutiny of the Public Investment Management Committee chaired, Mr. President, by public officials in the respective ministries, departments, and agencies. Now consider what they have already included in this bill. Fast-track directives under Section 22 that can override statutory regulators. Stepping powers under Section 24 that can override those same regulators in secret, because there's no requirement that these be gazetted or made public to Parliament or to the Jamaican people. Cabinet designation powers under Section 25 that rest on no legally defined purposes. A secrecy provision under Section 14 that criminalizes disclosure of information obtained in the course of administration, and a broad indemnity under Sections 15 and 16 that protects officials even in circumstances of criminal proceedings. Mr. President, each of these proceedings, taken alone, raises questions. Taken together and combined with the removal of PIMS scrutiny, they describe a procurement and investment environment with fewer checks, fewer safeguards, and less independent oversight than virtually any comparable program in this country's history. The question the Senate must put before the government is, what replaces PIMS? If the independent appraisal, cost-benefit analysis, and value for money evaluation that PIMS provides are being reviewed, what compensating mechanism is inserted in their place? And the honest answer, Mr. President, there is nothing. When you examine the bill, there is nothing that provides that. At a minimum, Mr. President, the bill should replace that blanket PIMS exemption with a provision establishing an expedited appraisal process, one that preserves the core requirements of independent technical review, cost-benefit analysis, and value for money assessment, while acknowledging the time pressures of reconstruction. The Technical Review Committee of PIMS could be convened on a compressed timeline for NARA projects. The Ministry of Finance, Mr. President, through the PIMC, could also be preserved in a modified form. That's the first concern. And I'm not the only one speaking about this. Civil society has also raised this concern. I move to my second issue with respect to a deficiency in the bill, Mr. President. The Prime Minister can influence the external audit. And we have heard them. They said that NARA is subjected to oversight mechanisms and accountability framework. The problem, Mr. President, with respect to the external audit that they have pointed to, is that there can be executive interference in the selection of who performs this external audit. So, Mr. President, let me begin this. You didn't read the bill for yourself, so be quiet. I'll explain it for you. The bill, Mr. President, the bill has no audit committee. There's no risk management committee. There's no internal auditor. There is no governance body of any kind to which the CEO is accountable in real time, against whose judgment his decisions can be tested, whose authorization is required before major contracts are executed. The government, Mr. President, will no doubt point to the new mandatory semi-annual reporting requirement under the amended Section 10. And I want to be fair, it's an improvement. The CEO must now produce a report every 6 months and submit them to the minister within 14 days, and the minister must make them cause them to be laid in Parliament. That is better than what was there before. But an external audit, Mr. President, is retrospective. It tells you what has happened after the money has been spent. Semi-annual reports tell Parliament what has happened in the last 6 months. Neither mechanisms prevent a wrong decision from being made in real time. Neither substitutes, Mr. President, for the real-time, continuous, independent oversight that a properly constituted audit committee and internal audit function would provide. You cannot audit your way out of a governance failure that has already happened. The structures that prevent failure must come before the money moves, Mr. President. And when we turn to the external audit that this bill provides for, the problems do not end there. Section 9 requires the authority to keep proper accounts and to have those accounts audited annually. That is as it should be. And I do not quarrel with that, Mr. President. But the question is not whether there will be an audit. The question is whether the person conducting the audit is truly independent of the entity being audited under this bill. And the answer is, it doesn't have to be so. Because, Mr. President, let's look. In the original bill that was tabled, the auditor was appointed by the CEO with the approval of the Cabinet Secretary. The amendment improved on that, which was a welcomed improvement, but it didn't go far enough. The new bill, Mr. President, now requires that the auditor be appointed by the Cabinet Secretary with the approval of the Cabinet. Mr. President, I want the Senate to sit with that arrangement for a moment. The Cabinet Secretary reports to the Prime Minister. The Cabinet is the Prime Minister's Cabinet. The auditor who will examine NARA's accounts is appointed by an official who answers to the Prime Minister with the approval of the Prime Minister's Cabinet. And we're told, Mr. President, that this arrangement provides some independent audit oversight. It does not. It provides the appearance of oversight while leaving the executive with its hands firmly on the lever that controls it. What this bill should do, and what I'm putting before the Senate as a specific amendment, is either vest the power to appoint NARA's external auditor directly in the Auditor General, or remove the executive from the appointment process entirely, or establish a statutory audit committee that includes a representative from the Auditor General and is responsible for overseeing the appointment and conduct of the audit in accordance with internationally recognized standards of independence. It's not acceptable for the Cabinet Secretary to appoint the auditor and the Cabinet approves that, when both the Cabinet and the Cabinet Secretary report to the Prime Minister. Mr. President, that is problematic. The third point I want to move to is with respect to the micro, small, and medium enterprises. Who gets the contracts? MSMEs are sidelined and left out. And the extent to which Minister Hill parades the country and talks about him being the greatest defender of MSMEs, I've not heard him bat for the MSMEs in the contracts that will be given under NARA. Mr. President, I want to turn to a dimension of this bill that has almost entirely been absent from public debate. And I think its absence is itself telling. We have spoken at length about governance and about audit and about ministerial powers and regulatory override. But there's a question that sits underneath all of those concerns, and it is this. When the billions start to flow, when contracts are awarded, when the projects are executed, who in Jamaica actually benefits? The bill is silent on that question. Completely, deliberately, and inexplicably silent. In a country, Mr. President, where wealth concentration and economic exclusion are persistent features of our development landscape, a silence about who can access reconstruction contracts is a policy choice of this government, and it is a wrong one. Let me be specific about what the bill does not contain. There are no MSME participation quotas in procurement contracts. There are no mandatory local content requirements favoring Jamaican businesses over foreign ones. There are no subcontracting percentage requirements on large projects that would compel prime contractors to bring smaller Jamaican MSMEs any advantage in competing for NARA work. There is no financing facilitation mechanism to help, Mr. President, smaller entities to benefit from the projects. Now consider, Mr. President, what the bill does contain. Section 25 sets the threshold for a designated strategic investment project at $15 million US. Mr. President, $15 million US is approximately 2.3 billion Jamaican dollars at current exchange rates. That's a floor. That is the entry for the category of projects that will attract the fast-track directive powers, the stepping orders, the cabinet designation, and the approvals machinery that the bill creates. Mr. President, and Section 41C empowers NARA to procure goods, works, and services for the implementation of projects, programs, and plans, with no requirement anywhere in that procurement power that any portion of the procurement be accessible to, reserved for, or structured to include Jamaican micro, small, and medium enterprises. This is not something I came up with on my own, Mr. President. This is coming out of consultation with the stakeholders in the MSME sector, the small business operators, Mr. President, who would want to participate in the contracts that will be issued under NARA. Mr. President, large infrastructure contracts have a well-documented gravitational pull toward large, established, well-capitalized firms, often multinational ones that have the compliance infrastructure, the surety capacity, the insurance arrangements, and the technical accreditation to meet the requirements of major procurement contracts.
An MSME in Westmoreland or in St. James, one of the parishes that bore the brunt of the Hurricane Melissa, that builds, that does construction, that has a small fleet and an experienced workforce, that does not have a legal department to prepare a compliant bid package for 2.3 billion infrastructure project. Mr. President, it does not have any bonding capacity for a prime contractor on a project of that size that is required to carry out and to provide a capacity for small enterprises to be included. What makes this more troubling, Mr. President, is the context in which NARA operates. Hurricane Melissa did not devastate the corporate headquarters of New Kingston. It devastated communities, farming communities, fishing communities, small businesses in Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, and the other western parishes. The people who lost most are by and large the people with the least access to the capital, the connections, and the compliance capacity that the large public procurement demands. A reconstruction program that builds the roads those communities depend on, the hospitals they use, the schools that the children attend, but that channels the economic benefit of that reconstruction to large established contractors and foreign firms is a reconstruction program that rebuilds the infrastructure of those communities while bypassing the economic recovery of the people who live in them. That is not resilience, Mr. President. That is reconstruction for some and exclusion for the rest. And that, Mr. President, is problematic. There were some arguments made by the speaker before me, and in the last few minutes that I have, Mr. President, I must respond to them. It provides no remedy for affected persons whose concerns are ignored. That's a fact. The bill provides no remedy for affected persons whose concerns are ignored. If the authority holds a consultation, hears from a community that their land will be destroyed and that they have no alternative accommodation, and then proceeds with the project anyway without addressing those concerns, what can that community do, Mr. President? Nothing. Section 17.4 provides no answer. There's no grievance mechanism. There is no right to require reconsideration, no right to approach a tribunal or court specifically to enforce the consultation obligation. The only route, Mr. President, is judicial review, which brings us back to 5 years and significant resources. Mr. President, there must be some kind of recourse mechanism included in the bill for those persons whose concerns will become loud, those whose concerns, Mr. President, will become apparent. Mr. President, in closing, the measure of a legislature is not whether it passes legislation quickly. The measure of a legislature is whether it passes legislation that works, that serves the people it is meant to serve, that holds power accountable, that builds institutions capable of serving the government of the day and serving the governments that follow. NARA could be that institution, only if you would open your ears and listen. Only if you would relax the arrogance and listen, NARA could be that institution. This bill, in its current form, does not build that institution. It builds something else, something fast, something flexible, something convenient for the executive, Mr. President, something that can circumvent regulatory authority, Mr. President. And it asks the Jamaican people to trust that the persons who hold power will use it wisely with no legal obligation to be transparent in a sufficient way, no board to answer to, and no parliament committee where the CEO is required for questioning by the people's representatives. Mr. President, trust is not a governance mechanism. Oversight is a governance mechanism. Accountability is a governance mechanism. Transparency is a governance mechanism. This bill provides too little of all three, and this side of the Senate will continue to say so for as long as it takes
Of
for
course.
that message to be heard by my arrogant colleagues on that side. We support Reconstruction of Jamaica. We support the establishment of an authority equal to that task. We do not support and we will not vote in favor of that bill that asks Jamaica.
Senator,
Thank you, Mr. President.
1 minute. Just 1 minute.
I have 16 seconds. Can you pause the clock, Mr. President? I have 16 seconds.
Hello.
I have...
Hello. Tomlinson, 1 minute. Mr. Tomlinson. Mr. Tomlinson.
What's the point of order?
Mr. Tomlinson. Hello. Senator Golden Campbell. Senator Tomlinson. Senator Tomlinson, I'm talking to you now.
Yes, Mr. President.
1 minute. A point of order has been taken. I'm going to listen to it. It is for me to inquire what it is, not you. So just hang on.
Yes,
and
Mr.
you will get
President.
back the 3 minutes that you have lost. Or 2
Thank you,
minutes,
Mr.
whatever
President.
it is.
Shut up.
What? Senator Tomlinson, would you have a seat, please?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
It's
the
nasty
point
face,
of
man.
order I'm raising is a point of order supported by Standing Order 35-4. And I have had myself to suffer Senator Tomlinson's offensive remarks. 35-4 says it shall be out of order to use offensive and insulting language about members of either chamber. To call somebody arrogant in this chamber in that manner was insulting and offensive. He made a remark in relation to Senator Bennett Cooper at the very start of his presentation. Look, I'm not here to teach him manners. He wishes to be uncharitable, let him be uncharitable, but what he cannot do is breach the standing orders. And I am maintaining, Mr. President, that he has done so, and he ought to apologize.
Senator Tomlinson, just withdraw the use of the word and then complete your statement, please. Come now, please. Mr. Tomlinson, withdraw.
Mr. President, I have no challenge withdrawing the use of that term. I think the Jamaican people know for themselves
George,
what they
you have
think
withdrawn
of
it,
that
so
side. So, Mr. President, I withdraw that term. I have no challenge doing that. But I end by saying, Mr. President, that we support the establishment of an authority equal to the task. We do not support...
All them things are foolishness, PMP them so, Labour them not do that, You don't do nothing wrong. Them things are things we use in a parliament all the while. Arrogant. Whatever else slot you have, we are withdraw. When you're too soft and go like a choir boy, that me I talk about. You say, well then, stand up firm. I'm not going to withdraw it. And there's nothing you can do. When you're too fucking soft, man. We are come talk about you withdraw. Arrogance. Yo. You know what? Well, let's leave it there, because this fucking them thing are just, you see, when I talk about the PMP, them really going like a choir boy, And that me I talk about, Because me arrogant talk all the while in the English Parliament. The Prime Minister is arrogant. And certain things them do. A MP is arrogant in them thinking and what them do. And something we talk in the Parliament all the while. You see what me I talk about, say, sometimes I'm looking at things and I talk, and people might not realize, I'm a supporter of the PMP party from day one. And I always say, myself, say, well then, look, if anything me see you right, me go call it out. And me proudly I call it out. And from other day, me I talk about, PMP, when them not sit and quiet, them come with something and then them blow it up and then them gone back soft again. Now is the woman them now a fire upon her cylinder. And the man them ras like that. Me talk before me start this fucking thing, And you see him now come use a word about arrogant. And you make a little blood clot, idiot, corruption, labor. I come talk about and then the speaker will tell us about withdraw it. Him should have say, well then, There's no standing order in that because arrogant is a word they can use, and it's used in all the English Parliament. It's used in all English Parliament. What them people have blood club talk about? Arrogant is a word they use in the workplace. Every fucking where. You know what? Sometimes I talk, you see, they go like a choir boy too much, man. You should stand up firm and say, look, I'm not gonna withdraw the word and lose the 2 minutes speech you have leave if I saw it be. When I no weak, when I fuck, when I weak. And I truth. Me not go rascal go around and fucking, yeah man, I'm weak. When I behave weak, when I sound weak, when I look weak, when I do that. Should never withdraw, never apologize for that. Because he used the word arrogant. But the promise I use it all the while. Hold on, I don't understand this, you know. You know, I really can't understand this. This is a dream. Same exactly thing I talk about, you know. These rascal opposition, them going like a choir boy. And the woman, them now a step up to the plate. Oh, come on, man. Yo. But anyway, we'll leave it at that, yeah, people. There for a little while. So we're out and running, out and gunning. Big up on yourself. Out.
A big sound, a play a big tune. Jah holy Emmanuel, boy. Jah Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. Well, Gideon go busting out them head again. So much oppression poor people face right now. Them crying out for freedom. Them crying out for free speech. Then said them want to stand up like them black liberators, like Malcolm X and Martin Luther. And the ancient monarchy will come pave the way, sir. Free up black people from me tear down them fence, yeah. Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. The Gideon, I'm a Gideon. Well, the Gideon go busting out them head. I listen, I see, I the power of the Trinity. Give us the teaching of His Majesty, and we know war, no devil philosophy. Not until color of a man's skin is abnormal, significant well to the color of his eye. Remember all the war done in 1935.
This is Sticky Stucky Sweet TV with Keith Gargan. Good, healthy food with the X Factor. So give it a like, share, subscribe, and touch up that notification bell. And that is it. Look at that.
Junk as a butt. Junk as a butt. Junk as a butt. And look at now, teeth as a rat. Damn teeth as a rat.
On Sticky Stucky TV. If your finger is not sticky, subscribe. But if your finger sticky, do not subscribe on Sticky Stucky TV. Big up yourself.